Welcome back, guys. CDR here, and let's talk about Aladdin 2019, which just came out. And I just reviewed all three of the original Aladdin movies: Aladdin, The Return of Jafar, and Aladdin, the King of Thieves. And the first Aladdin, in particular, is one of the first Disney movies and the first movies I've ever watched as a kid. I was born in '93. I think this Toy Story, Beauty and the Beast, Lion King were some of the first movies that I ever watched, and I was really, I've always loved Aladdin ever since I was a kid because, again, I've seen it it was one of my first movie memories watching Aladdin. So, of course Aladdin is going to be remade because Disney has been remaking all of these movies: Cinderella, Jungle Book, Beauty and the Beast, and The Lion King, which comes out in a few months. So Disney is doing cash grabs of their famous films that are insanely popular and nostalgic, which, as a fan of these movies, I'm fine with that. Even if they're the same movie, even if they have just a couple things added to it, I am totally fine with that. It's exploitation, cash grab, I don't care. I love Disney. So going into Aladdin, the remake, I was really interested in this one because this one, even from the trailers, it looked like a different movie stylistically. It didn't look fully like, you could argue Beauty and the Beast. Beauty and the Beast, the live action one, looks so much like the original. This one doesn't look like Aladdin, and I like that. I like that it is still in Agrabah. It is still this Arabian place, but I love the fact is that it looks not cartoonish, and I'm not trying to use that as an insult to the original, which is fantastic, but this one has more of a realistic looking approach. And again, it's live action, but still, Beauty and the Beast had that thing where it was and I really love Beauty and the Beast, the live action remake too, but that one was more, it felt more cartoony, but because they have all these things in the castle that are talking, so it makes sense. But in this one, it feels like you're in more of a real grounded world until the genie appears. And I really I think this movie should be appreciated as well for the set design, whether it's real or CG, and the costumes, and also these characters, while the story is like Beauty and the Beast remake, where it's basically the same story again. This one has a few different things that I really enjoyed about it. And, of course, you can just have the original and not have to see this one, but I liked how this one went out of its way to do things that they delved into more, with, Jafar and his backstory in this version, and how you realize that he's a villain, yeah, but you can see, his reasonings behind it, as opposed to the original where he's just bad guy. And that's fine because he's great in the original as well. And Aladdin is really great as well. This guy Mina something is really does a great performance in this movie, and he feels like the original Aladdin, but he also has his unique touch to it because this guy has real charm. And Jasmine, Naomi Scott, who is, I saw in the Power Rangers movie, who is good in that as well. Naomi Scott in this movie actually was really, really good. And this character, in terms of Jasmine, this character is different than the original in terms of where she ends up at the end of the movie, which, I'm not going to spoil it, but it does a different thing where I'm just like, oh, I like that. It does a thing where in the original, Jasmine she didn't want to be an object, which obviously she shouldn't be, but in this one they do the same thing, but it's more of the way that Jasmine in the original wanted to not marry somebody just to marry them. She wanted to marry them for love. In this one, Jasmine wants a little more than that, and I do appreciate that because they don't have her as much of a one-note character, even though she's one of the Disney princesses in the animated movies that is one of the least dated for the most part in the original animated movies. But in this one, I do like how Jasmine in this has a different kind of arc, and she has the new song in this movie that wasn't in the original. That is the only new song, where I really, really dug the heck out of the song that she sings, called Speechless. And of course it's speaking to her as a character and speaking to the time period where she's at as a woman who wants to be more than just a person that has to marry a guy. She wants to be more than that. So I really like that a lot. I really liked her song, even though the song is kind of like, it's a really great song and a good inner character motivation, but it kind of doesn't lead to much like in the movie. But I still really loved the song. I thought the song was great. And Will Smith as the genie. Now this is something that people were all completely just getting really, really hurtful about, like online. Like everybody hated the new genie. Of course, it's so easy to hate anything online, and people are going to be stupid enough just to say, "Oh, I hate it too," because you hate it. I never hated the genies, like from the trailer. I never hated Will Smith as the genie in terms of the trailers before the movie. I thought it looked fine, but going into this movie, I was like, this is probably gonna be fine. He's gonna be kind of a Robin Williams type genie. And coming out of it, there's a couple moments that are very obviously trying to do Robin Williams, but almost for the most part, Will Smith really does make this role his own. He really is different, and I really love the fact that with these Disney movie remakes that do the same thing basically, but add new things in it, this one I really did appreciate the fact that Will Smith is different as the genie. Of course, he's got a couple Robin Williams moments and jokes. They're not a lot, but there's a couple where I'm like, you didn't need that, because Will Smith on his own is Will Smith. He's great, and he's really, really funny in this movie, and he's genuinely hilarious. And I really thought that he pulled off the emotions as well in this movie with the characters. With, if you know how the story arc goes with him in the original, it really works here, and I really like that a lot. And Jafar, like I said, Jafar is is the character that is more developed as a villain, but he's good and he's intimidating until the ending, and I thought the ending was just like, it was kind of a quick defeat. And I don't feel like I'm spoiling anything, because this is the original movie again, but live action with a few things added to it. So Jafar I like for the most part, except for at the very last like climax minute with him. I was like, this is kind of dumb because it's in live action with CG and it looks really odd. But I still enjoyed him overall besides that. Like, it wasn't even awful whenever he was at the end of the movie. It's just the end of the movie kind of made me go, oh, this isn't as good with the genie. Like, I thought he was more, or with Jafar, I thought he was more intimidating whenever he would just tell somebody something. Like, I thought he actually worked really well. That actor was good. And all the other characters that are here, like Jasmine's dad is fine, but he's just kind of there. Kind of like the original, but he's not a fat little guy this time. He's like a normal looking person. And then Abu and then the Carpet and Iago are good, but they're not, because this isn't a cartoon, they don't keep the cartoon charm. So I like them more in the original, but still, they're fine in this movie for a live-action version of these animals that don't really talk. Besides Iago, because he's a parrot, and even he isn't like animated in a way. He's just talking, like repeating, not as in Iago in the original, where he would just have full-on conversations with Jafar. That doesn't happen here, but it's fine. And I really, really love this side character, that there is a handmaiden in this movie. That is Jasmine's handmaiden, and this actress, I've seen her in something else. She's been like SNL and stuff, but this is a genuinely hilarious actress. Like, I lost it every time she said anything. Like, she plays that deadpan so well on purpose. Like, she just, I have to look up her name. I have to look up who this actress is, but who played Jasmine's handmaiden is genuinely hilarious. Like, I lost it. I really love that as well. Like, she was so genuinely funny. Like, I'm trying to think of a line, but it would spoil the movie, because there actually is a little difference with that character added in. So I don't want to say much about her, but really loved her, that side handmaiden. Like, she was genuinely so hilarious. And visually, this looks very, very cool, and I like the fact that it looks different than the original. It doesn't look, like I said, with Beauty and the Beast, the live-action one, it looks so much like the original in a lot more ways, because it's more cartoony, because there's more CGI. In this one, there is, of course, CGI, but in the moments of being in Agrabah with no magic around, like, it looks so good, and it looks nothing like the original in how everything looks. Like, I really like that and appreciate that. And the action is good too. I like the fact that the end has a climax that is the same as the original, but changes it up in a way where it feels fresh enough to where Disney's going to say, hey, we're trying to make this a cash grab, but we're going to put a little effort to make it a little different. Which, again, as a Disney fan of the original movie, and of Disney in particular, even if they're doing cash grabs like these live-action remakes, I'm totally fine with it, because I really, really liked this movie. I really liked all the characters. I really liked the performances. I thought the humor was great. I liked how they did some changes. Even though there weren't a lot, I liked the changes they did. I liked how they differentiated it enough to where it kind of felt half and half in a lot of ways, because the ending is different in a lot of ways, but there's also added characters in the movie. So while you could just watch the original, I think this has some value too, because I really did enjoy all these characters and the action and the visuals, and just really a really fun, solid Disney remake. So I really did enjoy Aladdin 2019. So if you guys saw Aladdin 2019, tell me down below. And if you like this video, go check out my other content down below. And thank you guys again so much for watching.